Hello once again, wrestling fans, and welcome to Off the Top Rope Radio, heard worldwide on KQCK radio stations. I'm your host, Brian Shank, and in the next hour, we'll discuss all that is professional wrestling. You'll hear the latest news, informative interviews with the biggest stars in the business, and maybe even a few surprises along the way. It all starts right now on KQCK radio stations, USA and Costa Rica.
God, I love that song. I really do. And I like that one too. Somewhere. I just can't decide which one. No. I was having some fun there. I told my buddy I'd play some Motley Crue for him, and I wanted to follow up with the Moody Blues there just to piss him off. And I think I did that. So I'll be getting a text from him in just a moment or two. But hey, everybody, welcome to Off the Top Rope Radio. We do appreciate your time. We're glad you could join us here on this Thursday, June the 12th, the year 2014. Hope you're having a good day. It's nice and sunny out here in Arizona. As a matter of fact, we got a lot of sun. If you guys don't have any where you're at in the country or outside the United States, we'll be happy to give you some. There's plenty out here. So anyway, welcome to the show. My name is Brian Shank. I'm the host as always, and we do welcome you to Off the Top Rope Radio here on good old KQCK radio stations, heard worldwide on KQCK.com. And like I said, we do thank you for making us a part of your evening, your afternoon, whenever you're watching or listening. Don't forget, you can always go back and watch our archived shows on KQCK.com. There's an archived show list. It should be right on the front page. So if you don't get a chance to see them, just make sure you go there, check it out, and we'll be happy to show it to you at any time if you send us a request at Brian, BRIAN, at KQCKradio.com. You can email me anytime during the show, and I'll definitely read those off on the air to you and for you and to everybody out there who's listening. So we got a big show, man. I'm looking forward to this. We've got actually two huge interviews later today. James J. Dillon, the leader of the Four Horsemen back in the Jim Crockett era. Can't wait to talk to Jim once again because we actually had a chance to discuss some things back at the Cauliflower Alley Club, and that was just last week. And my good buddy, gorgeous Jimmy Garvin. Oh, yeah, the sharp-dressed man himself will be joining us later on, too. So I'm very happy to have those two gentlemen on the program. We'll have Doug McDonald from WrestlingRumors.net joining us here in just a few minutes. And I want to discuss for all you local people out here in the Phoenix and Tucson area that we have a tremendous wrestling event coming our way. It's what they call a fan fest, so it's a meet and greet type of thing, and it's going to be tremendous. 2 days, Saturday, July 19th and Sunday, July 20th, in Phoenix on Saturday, Tucson on Sunday. 1 to 5 is going to be the time zones for that, and 2 to 5 on Sunday in Tucson. This is going to be tremendous. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, go to clickjabwrestling.com or go to their Facebook page, which is facebook.com/click.jab. And let me tell you about this. Saturday, the 19th, at the Phoenix Marriott. It's going to be at the airport, the Phoenix Marriott Airport, 1101 North 44th Street. There's going to be so many great things going on. Listen to this lineup, man. Bill Goldberg's going to be there. Ric Flair is going to be there. You're going to see people like Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, X-Pac. I mean, you are going to see so many people at this event, it's going to make your head spin. There's so many things going on. The Tucson event is going to be just as big. Ric Flair, Adam Copeland, formerly known as Edge, Bret the Hitman Hart, like I said, Kevin Nash, Sean Waltman, and Scott Hall, Robbie E. from TNA Wrestling, Amy Dumas, who was known as Lita in the WWE, a brand new inductee into the WWE Hall of Fame from 2014 in New Orleans, Louisiana. I saw her get inducted myself. It was awesome, and she looked wonderful. Candice Michelle, Maria Kanellis, Brooke Adams, Taryn Terrell. Oh, she's so nice. I met Taryn when she worked with TNA. She was doing a program with Gail Kim back in March of last year. And just a sweet little thing, and I can't wait to see her again. She's such a nice girl. Lisa Marie Varon, who was known as Victoria in the WWE, and Tara in TNA. This is going to be a tremendous event because you get the chance to meet all these people, pictures, autographs. I mean, what a lineup. Are you kidding me? Goldberg, Ric Flair, Adam Copeland, Bret Hart, Kevin Nash, Sean Waltman, Scott Hall, Robbie E., Amy Dumas, Candice Michelle, Marie Kanellis, Brooke Adams, Taryn Terrell, and Lisa Marie Varon. Oh, my God. This is just amazing. So if you want to get a chance to buy tickets, find out all the information, see what all the packages include, Go check it out on ClickJab. That's ClickJab wrestling.com. Once you go to the website, you can't miss it. Also, don't forget, you can go on Facebook and just go to Click Jab Wrestling, or you can go to facebook.com/click.jab. And there's so many great things going on. This is going to be a tremendous event. I'll be at both of these. My good buddy here, Chris Click, who's organizing this, he does a tremendous job. He is so marketing friendly, so media savvy. He's going to be in studio with me in 2 weeks right here, July 26th, inside the KQCK Off the Top Rope Studios. We're going to have an awesome sit-down interview, talk about how he got involved, what he's doing with it, how he's going to get the chance to meet everybody out there as well, a little bit more about the ticket values and everything else, and all the different packages. All is on the website. Again, clickjabwrestling.com is their website. It shows you all the information about Phoenix and Tucson. There's frequently asked questions on there. It's like, what is FanFest? Kind of get an idea, what can I have signed, what can I have something specially put on my inscription, how do I get tickets, how do you get them, all that stuff. It's all right here on this tremendous website on clickjabwrestling.com. So don't forget, Saturday, July 19th from 1 to 5, that's going to be at the Phoenix Marriott Airport. That's going to be tremendous. And the Tucson one is going to be the day after, Sunday, July 20th. That's going to be at the Doubletree Reed Park, 455 South Alvernon. The Doubletree, that's a great place to go. If you want to spend the night, hey man, sit back and get yourself a room too. You can get all the information. You can get room discounts if you want to sleep over. That's all on the website. If you want to travel to FanFest, it gives you ideas on how to get there, special packages to stay overnight. Everything is on the website. Now, something like this would cost hundreds of dollars, but there's some really cool packages you can buy off of this website. And if you live anywhere in the state of Arizona, you should know that Phoenix and Tucson are relatively easy to get to. I mean, if you have to go over the mountains and through the woods and stuff like that to go to grandmother's house and whatnot, maybe a little tight. But regardless, you definitely want to check this out if you live anywhere near Phoenix, anywhere near Tucson. Saturday, July 19th, Sunday, July 20th. Click Jab Wrestling Fan Fest is where it's at. We talked about all the names. I'll tell them to you once again in case you're joining us late. Bill Goldberg, Ric Flair, woo! Adam Copeland, formerly known as Edge, Bret the Hitman Hart, Kevin Nash, Sean Waltman, Scott Hall, Robbie E. from TNA, Amy Dumas, formerly known as Lita, Candice Michelle, beautiful woman, Maria Kanellis, beautiful woman. These are all beautiful women. Brooke Adams, Taryn Terrell, Lisa Marie Varon. I mean, this is going to be fantastic, and if you want to be a part of it, just once again, clickjabwrestling.com, and I'll have my buddy Chris Click on here in a couple of weeks sitting down, and we're going to have interviews with some of these great talents that'll be here in a couple of weeks, and actually about a month from now. Yeah, about a month from now, 5 weeks away, and they'll have a lot of things to say, I'm sure. So you don't want to miss this, and if you do, you better have a damn good excuse because there's no reason why you should miss it. So, but I'm happy about this. I'm looking forward to it. Chris is a great guy. He's somebody who really knows how to make things happen and promote well. So we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking to Mr. Well, what's his name again? Oh yeah, right. Shut up back there. Doug McDonald from WrestlingRumors.net, my good pal who joins me every Thursday, for the most part. And we're going to talk about all the things going on here in the latest professional wrestling world known as the WWE. There's a lot of things going on. We'll talk all about that here in a moment or two, so don't go away. We're coming right back with more on Off the Top Rope Radio right here on KQCK on KQCK.com.
When you visit Hill Family Dentistry in Santan Valley, dentist Dr. Tim Hill provides each patient with personalized, gentle care that you deserve. Our entire team is dedicated to providing you and your family with services that will make you smile. With a full range of general, cosmetic, and specialty dentistry services that will keep you and your family smiling. Our commitment to our community is to provide outstanding oral health. Hill Family Dentistry is located on 36359 Ganzel Road in Santan Valley, diagonally across from Banner Ironwood Hospital. Evening and weekend appointments available. We accept most insurances and have in-office policies available for non-insured. Contact us today at 480-588-8127. Hill Family Dentistry. More Pet Supplies has been the leading online source for pet doors and premium pet supplies since 1996. Take advantage of their product experts for all types of pet doors and installation options. Their friendly, knowledgeable consultants can recommend several options that work for your unique situation. They will ensure that you receive the best pet door to meet your expectations and budget. Whether you need a pet door installed through walls, doors, French doors, sliding glass doors, custom-made sizes, or through glass models, no one offers more choices. More Pet Supplies is also your source for the popular pet doors made by Security Boss Manufacturing, makers of the best pet doors on the market. Check them out now online at www.morepet.com. That's www.morepet.com, or call them toll free at 1-800-829-7876. Give yourself and your pet the freedom. More Pet Supplies and Security Boss products. Again, that's morepet.com. www.morepet.com.
I had to get my next guest here on the phone, little Bob Marley. He knows that I'm a big fan. I know he is as well, and I can't wait to get back into the gist of things here because the last couple of weeks have been kind of crazy here and there, and people have been having different plans. But he's back on here with me again, my good friend, Doug McDonald. He's a senior editor of WrestlingRumors.net. He's live via satellite, I think, somewhere from the French Alps this week. He travels more than most pilots I know, but we're glad to have him on board. What's up, Dougie?
I was impressed with my yodeling here in the French Alps.
Yeah, I can tell. You better keep practicing, man. It's like you need a little work.
I don't know.
How you been, man? Everything okay? Good on your side of the earth?
Everything's good except for this crazy.
It's
been an insane day as far as news goes.
Yeah, it really has, and I know that you've got a lot on your plate there in front of you, but I know there's at least one thing that you want to talk about, so I want to go ahead and break right into it, and then after that, I'll let you go ahead and lead the way on this. But 11 names, from what I've read so far in the WWE, have been cut, and this is quite interesting because it just happened kind of out of nowhere. I mean, there was a lot of people who said there was going to be this, it's going to be coming. There was going to be some cuts coming. This is kind of an annual thing that they do all the time and whatnot, and it did happen. And let's go ahead and read off some of these names, and then I want to know if any of those names have any kind of surprise factor for you, because there was a couple there that I was a little bit surprised about.
Well, I'll say 11 people that were let go were Kurt Hawkins, who hadn't been used in forever.
Yeah, JTG.
So that's not bad. JTG has been waiting. The internet wrestling community has beloved JTG with so many memes and all these different internet things that we do because he has had a job for 4 years where he wrestles once a year. And he's not The Undertaker.
Yeah, but do you know why he wasn't let go? Because he's just too good.
Right, of course, right. Right. So, and that's why he wasn't on TV, was because he was just so good.
Right.
But he just, and if anybody didn't get that, he's, obviously Brian is messing with the actor of JTG. But, no, we've been waiting for his release since 2010.
Yeah. It's been a while.
It took 4 years of him doing nothing to get released. And, I mean, they didn't do a big release like this last year. We were waiting for it. They released about 4 or 5. But 11 in one day?
Yeah, it's a lot.
Some that were just on TV Monday night.
Right.
Like Drew McIntyre.
Jinder Mahal.
And Jinder Mahal, no longer a 3-man band. It's a 1-man band again for Heath Slater.
Well, no, it's still a 1.5-man band because you still have Hornswoggle.
I don't even know if they'll continue doing that because Los Waistadores,
yeah,
and El Torito, there's 3 there.
Mm-hmm.
So unless you throw someone else random in with Heath Slater,
yeah,
and Hornswoggle, that's a mismatch, and I don't know if they'll do that.
Did you hear some of the reports?
Also,
Did you hear some of the reports about? Did you hear some of the reports about saying that they should take Heath Slater now and put him with the Shield? I hope that was done tongue in cheek because I thought, my God, are you high?
Yeah,
are you high?
Total sarcasm.
Oh, jeez.
Total sarcasm. He's not going to the Shield, and no one else is going to get added to the Shield.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later, I guess. But yeah, let's keep talking about these names. Let's keep talking about these names because wow.
Yeah, Yoshitatsu, who's done nothing, and he's been in NXT doing nothing. Brodus Clay, who has been worked his butt off for a while with a terrible gimmick.
Yeah.
And then they changed him, and it was over. There's nothing for him. Camacho, of course, the great Haku's son.
Wasn't he also? Wasn't he Sin Cara for a while? Wasn't he the latest Sin Cara?
No. He was the partner to Unico, who is the current Sin Cara.
That's right. That's where I got my things mixed up.
Right.
Okay.
Teddy Long.
Yeah.
There's not going to be any more tag matches made, which is sad.
Holla, player.
Holla, player. You make tag matches out of everything. Teddy Long's gone.
He sure does. Evan Bourne?
Like we said, Jinder Mahal, Drew McIntyre, Oksana, who was just on TV Monday night as well.
You know, that one, Doug, really kind of surprised me in a way because, I mean, I thought they were going to start building now with Alicia Fox and her and maybe have some kind of... Because I'll tell you something, Oksana, she can wrestle. Right. She can really wrestle.
She can.
Yeah, and that's why it surprised me that they let her go. But then again, I'm not the one pushing the pen, so... Whatever. So.
Yep, and then, of course, Evan Bourne, who hasn't been on TV in 2 years with a foot injury.
Yeah.
There were recent reports that WWE had talked about maybe putting Tyson Kidd and Evan Bourne in the tag team, which would have been phenomenal.
That would have been a great tag team.
But, you know, they let him go now, finally, and the last guy to get let go was referee Mark Harris, who should have been fired many moons ago.
Yeah, he made some 3 counts that weren't supposed to be 3 counts and didn't see...
so terrible.
Yeah, I didn't see any tap outs when there was a tap out. Yeah, I agree with that one. Yeah, that was pretty bad. You know what? Let's go back a minute there because the one that really just kind of like made me go, like the old Scooby-Doo thing, Drew McIntyre, because here's a guy 3 years ago that was handpicked. He was the blessed God by the chosen one by Vincent Kennedy McMahon. He was going to be the man, and they kind of built him up for a little bit as a singles wrestler. They put the strap on him for a while. I think it was the U.S. Championship, wasn't it? Then they had the U.S. Championship on him for a while.
Yeah, he had a great theme song.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, boom, he's in 3-man band looking like a jackass, losing all these matches.
Yep.
And now he's showing the door. But let's not forget, some of these guys could come back at a later time. They could just have done this just to dump some salary and then say, oh, well, you can come back for half this amount. It has happened. It has happened. So we could see Drew McIntyre.
But if any of these guys come back, it's McIntyre.
Yeah, I do.
Nobody else from this group I can see coming back anytime soon. There's too many guys in NXT they want to bring up. And there's too many new independent guys like Prince Devitt and Kevin Steen that they've just signed that they want to get in NXT. So
Kevin
they got to keep bringing in new faces, and they got to have revenue. And with the money crisis they've had, that's why we've got this Black Thursday.
And I think Kevin Steen just wrestled Scrap Iron Adam Pearce last week in a match for, I think it was the Ring of Honor show, wasn't it?
I believe, yeah.
I think that's what I read, and you know, he posts a lot on his Facebook there. But yeah, you're right, Doug. There's a lot of people here that there's, you know, and the thing is too is that we saw you talked about Camacho because I know that he was kind of in a small program with Adam Rose, I do believe, for a while at NXT, if I'm not mistaken. And you know, we also saw that Bourne. You talk about Bourne having the health problems. Brodus Clay to me just never caught on, and you know they were trying to make him. They were teasing him coming in as saying he's going to be this big badass, and if they would have brought him in as this, you know, killer heel type of character, kind of like the One Man Gang of 2015 or 2014. I'm jumping ahead here. You know, there could have been something there because I mean, if you let the guy go for a big man, he can really work. I mean, he really can, and I think he had that killer instinct and look about him. Where if they would have packaged him from the beginning, he may have been better.
I agree completely.
Yeah.
I think he got a bullcrap gimmick that he had to work with.
I agree.
But he did. I mean, but I'd give him all credit in the world for going all in.
Yeah.
With that character.
Yeah, for sure.
It just didn't work out, especially when he added Tensai. It just became a joke.
Yeah. Okay, let's go into some of the other stuff that you got because I know you said you had a lot of news here, and I want to hear all about it. We got about 10 minutes because I know we got a really packed show today, so I want to hear what you got to say.
Yeah. Well, it looks like the Shield, like we were talking about, the Shield's not adding another member.
Mm-hmm.
Really not sure how much longer they're going to go as a tag team even. They could obviously flip the script and add another member. WWE teased that on the website last week. But from what I hear, it's not going to happen.
Well,
they're going to just roll with Ambrose and Reigns.
Well, I think eventually, and I just had this weird feeling after we saw what happened with everything going on here lately. I just kind of have an idea that maybe, I don't know. I think Seth Rollins wasn't the right guy to kind of turn. I would have liked to seen Ambrose do it because I think Ambrose has that little bit of a spark to him that has that craziness. And if you think about it, Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns do look somewhat similar. The long black hair, the beard, mustache, they have a similarity to them. And I think Ambrose being the one who would have done this, I would have liked to seen that more because I'm a big Ambrose fan. I think his style is great. He has that kind of, a bully kid next door down the block that you didn't like in high school look to him, kind of like that snottiness to him. And I just think that would have been a better fit to me. What do you think? Did they turn the right guy?
I think, and I'll tell you why. Ambrose, in a year or two, will be the biggest heel in the company. We know that. He is Jake the Snake Roberts and Roddy Piper put together. And it's going to be fantastic. That's what I see when I see him. I see Jake Roberts, I see Piper, I see big heel. I can say, his promo Monday night was amazing.
It was good.
So I'm all for that whenever it's time. But if Ambrose would have turned, and then Rollins and Reigns eventually split, Rollins would have been left in the weeds a little bit. Reigns is going to be your next John Cena. They're building him that way.
I agree.
Rollins needed this to push himself into a different angle and make himself more relevant so that when the split actually takes place, which we've seen,
right,
he has a role. And he's not lost and left in the weeds, and I love it because me and Frank Manzo and other guys from our site, from other sites, we're worried about Rollins, where he's going to go because we know Ambrose can be an amazing heel, and we know Reigns is going to be a huge face.
Right.
So where would Rollins fit? His style is completely different than anybody else's, and his character just wasn't there yet.
Yeah.
Now, what I saw Monday, all three of these guys are main eventers now, and they're going to stay in the main event. And I think it's because of the way they did the turn and who made the turn.
Yeah.
Because now Rollins has the role.
Yeah. Well, and I also like that they're not necessarily putting Rollins in as a member of Evolution. I like that they're kind of leaving that.
He will not be, right.
Yeah,
he will not be an Evolution.
Yeah, he echoed what Triple H said. It's time to evolve and it's time to move on and stuff like that. I like the words that he put in there, but I don't think he needs to be a part of Evolution. I like to be him kind of like that lone wolf type of character, and I'm interested to see where they're going to go with this because this is really fresh. This was brand new. I liked the interview he had with Michael Cole on Raw. I think it was efficient. I thought it kind of set a pretty good tone of what he's supposed to be doing and where he wants to go, and kind of made himself say, hey, you know what? This is what it is, and boom, 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 I'm out the door. So now we're focusing on the two people. I agree. Don't add anybody else to the Shield because I think in about 2 or 3 months, there's not going to be a Shield. I think it's going to be dissolved. Yeah. That's my point.
Me too. Yeah, me too.
So what else you got?
Let's talk about Money in the Bank.
Okay.
There's going to be 2 ladder matches.
There is.
Because you can't have Money in the Bank without having a briefcase match.
That's true.
And we're going to get a title match, a ladder match, which we know 4. We actually know 5 if you know what's going to go down tomorrow night on SmackDown. I'm not going to give any spoilers away, but a big name gets added to this match. Watch SmackDown, find out who it is. And the other 2 rumored guys, we have Sheamus, Cesaro, Randy Orton,
and Alberto Del Rio.
See. And now we're waiting for the other 2 to get put in because there's 7 guys, and the rumors right now are John Cena, which obviously makes sense.
Yeah.
And Kane, who is supposed to be in the title match with Daniel Bryan anyway.
Right.
And Kane has proven himself over and over again that he's one of the best workers in the ring. and can do any kind of match you ask him to.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited about that match. I hate the fact that Daniel Bryan is hurt and his arm is getting weaker instead of stronger since the surgery.
I know it's terrible. Ever since he won that belt, it's just been such a letdown, and it's so sad.
I know
it's sad.
I know. I feel so bad
I know.
because he wanted it so bad, and he's such a good worker.
Right. Whoops, my phone's going off here. Let me turn that down. I'm sorry. Yeah, he is a great worker. I mean, and it upsets me that this luck that he's had on him. I mean, okay, let's think about it. He won the heavyweight championship at WrestleMania 30 New Orleans. We were there. He then married a really, really hot chick, which is great.
Correct.
Unfortunately, with all the fortunes come some downfalls. He lost his father, and he also now is suffering from a very severe injury. So it's been a good year for him. It's been a bad year for him. And I think in a lot of ways, the bad definitely outweighs the goodness, and I feel so bad for him. I mean, June 29th in Boston, I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't.
As sad as I am, because I'm a human being and I have compassion, I am sad for the guy.
Absolutely.
For the event, we now have a more exciting Money in the Bank event.
Mm-hmm.
Because now it is, what the heck is going to happen? WWE is about to push a reset button.
Yeah.
So you've got a ladder match for the title, which could see any of those guys win it.
Mm-hmm.
I could see Cesaro pulling it down and then working an angle with Lesnar.
Right.
I could see Cena pulling it down. I could see Kane pulling it down. I could see Orton pulling it down.
Mm-hmm.
The only one I can't see pulling it down is Orton because he just had it.
Yeah.
But you can't count him out either.
Right. No, you can't.
So that's an unpredictable match, which is fantastic in the wrestling world, especially with the internet.
This pay-per-view is very questionable right now on what can happen. I mean, we're about 2 weeks out or so, and it's just I'm scratching my head because I really don't know what exactly is going to happen on this. And I like that. I like that there's that mysterious factor because if you look at some of the pay-per-views in the past, whether you go back 6 years or 6 months, a lot of them have been very predictable. You kind of have an idea what's going to happen. This one, I'm scratching my head, dude. I don't know what's going to happen. So
yeah, because now you have the question of outside of there should be a tag team title match between the Usos and the Wyatt family.
Yeah.
Outside of that match, what other matches do you have? Because they haven't been building towards anything really.
No, I know.
And so we're going to see that in the next couple of weeks on Raw.
Mm-hmm.
But there's going to be a briefcase match with 6 or 7 guys in it.
Right.
And it's going to be mid-card guys. But who do you put in it? Brian, who would you put in that briefcase match that gives them a briefcase for a title shot?
The only thing I can really think of is if someone, Seth Rollins could be that guy. I mean,
okay.
That would be a good choice. I mean, I don't know. Have they totally given up on Dolph Ziggler? I mean, the guy's got tremendous ability.
I would think, unless they do a triple threat or some kind of tag match with Triple H and Rollins and Reigns and Ambrose, I can see all 3 Shield members being in the briefcase match.
I agree. Yeah, I definitely. I mean, that's a given.
Then, Ziggler, who lost to Del Rio, but I could see Ziggler.
Right.
Cody Rhodes, Goldust.
Yeah.
I mean,
maybe.
Who else do you put in there? RVD?
Yeah, RVD would have to be somebody. He's been a mainstay here lately. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Sandow's lost in Gimmickville.
Well, we won't even talk about Sandow right now. It's kind of we'll leave it alone.
I hate that. I love him.
I know. He's a good wrestler. I hate to do this because we're pushing up against that clock. Every time I look at that clock, it pisses me off because I wish we had like 3 hours to talk because I know we can definitely fill in a whole show.
I know.
And one of these days we will. We will sit there, we come around here in the summertime, maybe like SummerSlam or something. We'll just do the whole show, you and I. But I know we've got 2 guests tonight, James J. Dillon, the legendary manager of the Four Horsemen, and gorgeous Jimmy Garvin later on. We're going to talk to him about the induction of Michael Hayes winning the Lou Thez Award here in Cauliflower Alley just last week. Should be a tremendous couple of interviews, so I'm looking forward to doing those. Doug, it's always great having you, man. I'm glad you were back this week. You always bring a lot of great insight to this show, and I appreciate that very much, sincerely. And for all you people out there who may not know about Doug McDonald's tremendous site, it's WrestlingRumors.net. Go check it out. You got all the late-breaking news, some opinions, and after every story, a little bit of an editor's note there to kind of get some opinion as well, which I enjoy. It's nice to see that out there. Great pictures, great breaking news. Go like them on Facebook. It's all right there, WrestlingRumors.net. Doug, I'll talk to you next week on the 19th, my brother.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Catch you on the next one.
Sounds good. And take care of that yodeling voice. With that, I'll let you go. I'll see you later. All right, there's my buddy Doug McDonald. It's always good to hear from him. And, he made some good points. I mean, who else can we add to it? This is a mysterious pay-per-view, so we'll definitely have some more news about that coming up here. So do not go away. We're going to take a small break here because I definitely want to have my next guest on the show, and I can't wait to discuss some of the things that we saw in Las Vegas at the Cauliflower Alley Club, and he's a great guy. You're going to really like this interview, I guarantee it. James J. Dillon is coming your way in just a couple minutes or so. We'll be right back after the short break.
Engine parts aren't the only things that wear out over time. Bending or reaching can leave you feeling like an old clunker. But joint pain doesn't have to slow you down. Schedule an appointment with the orthopedic specialists at Banner Ironwood Medical Center. You might just find there's a lot more mileage to be had in your knees, shoulders, elbows, or any part of your body that feels
KQCK.
broken down. We have the specially trained staff, state-of-the-art technology, imaging, and physical therapy to get you back on the road. They're experts at diagnosing, treating,
KQCK.
and rehabilitating joint injuries.
Hey, I got to make my other call for my next interview.
480-394-4480 or visit bannerhealth.com/Ironwood. Banner Ironwood Medical Center is conveniently located on Ganzel Road, just south of Combs. See what a difference just a minor tune-up or a complete overhaul can do for your joint pain today by calling 480-394-4480 and get your joints back in the fast lane again.
Got pain? Call Dr. Wayne. Chiropractic care may be your answer. Queen Creek Back Care. Located in Queen Creek on 20231 East Ocotillo Road on the backside of True Value Hardware Store. Safe, effective treatment with chiropractic and same-day appointments to speed your healing. With more than a decade of experience and hundreds of satisfied patients, Dr. Wayne Christensen will provide you the pain relief you've been searching for. Dr. Wayne is fully qualified to treat the entire family, even children. Call for an appointment today. 480-677-3900. That's 480-677-3900.
I come from down in the valley where
I had to play the river there for my next guest, Mr. J.J. Dillon. I know he's a great Bruce Springsteen fan from what I was told. So the river right there for Bruce Springsteen for Mr. J.J. Dillon. And I can't wait to get him on the phone here because he is a tremendous individual, a great gentleman, and someone who has done so much in professional wrestling, leading the Four Horsemen to glory and fame and just being a great focal point of a tremendous wrestling group. My favorite faction ever in the history of wrestling, the Four Horsemen. And it's a pleasure to have him on and an honor to bring on my good friend, my Cauliflower Alley Club member, and my, well, he's a good pal. I just call him that, my good pal. He's Mr. James J. Dillon. JJ, how you doing, buddy?
Fine, Brian. How are you? That was a real great introduction.
Oh.
Thank you very much. And the fact that the Horsemen are your favorite faction of all time, that's music to my ears.
Oh.
Music, speaking of Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah, well, I had to play the river for you. That's a great song. I know you're a big Bruce Springsteen fan, and I think there's only one guy in wrestling that I think is maybe a little bit bigger of a fan than you, and that's Jim Brunzell. He's a huge Springsteen fan. So.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, he loves Bruce Springsteen. The guy's, I know you didn't work with him because you were in Crockett and he was in New York at the time, but regardless, Bruce is always good. So, JJ, you know, fresh off a big tour here at the Cauliflower Alley Club, we had a tremendous time. There was so many people there this year, a lot of new people, a lot of Canadians who made it up for their first time. And we always talk about the brother and sisterhood of professional wrestling, the true ring of friendship, as we call it. I look forward to it every year, and I'm glad that you always make it out every year as well. And what was different for you this year compared to the last couple of years? Anything that just made you go, oh, I haven't been seeing that before?
Wow, that's a great question, man. I can't think of anyone. Well, I take that back. There was a particular highlight because this year my son, Jeffrey, who attends the University of Delaware with his twin sister, was here for the summer. She's involved with Drum Corps International, and she's touring for the second season with the Spirit of Atlanta crew, and she finished her final exam, jumped on a plane to Atlanta, and they're in rehearsals now. But her brother Jeffrey's been staying with me, and when I made arrangements to go to Cauliflower Alley, he's heard me talk about it so many times, and I said, "Would you like to get away and make the trip with me?" And he said he definitely would. So that was a kind of a highlight for me, was to see old friends, as you mentioned, and you never know. There are always some surprises as to who's going to show up, and to be able to share the experience with my son this year made that really special for me personally.
Oh, that's very cool. I'm glad to hear that, because I know that you're a tremendous father, and you always talk about your children, and it's always good to hear that. And it's nice that he got a chance to come up with you like that, because if you never had a chance to experience the CAC, you definitely got to get out there, ladies and gentlemen. CauliflowerAlleyClub.org. Just go to that webpage. It's such a tremendous page, because there's so many past honorees you can look at, past stories, things that are coming up. Next year, JJ, the 50th reunion, which is mind-blowing. I just can't wait for next year already. I mean, have you already made your plans? I bet you have your ticket already in your hand. I can guarantee it.
Yeah, absolutely. I made my first trip out there in 2006 at the urging of Al Mandel, who passed away sadly. But he was a big advocate of trying to get new people to come there. And as I say every year, when I have a chance as I've been MC of the dinner for the last couple of years, and Terry Funk, my tag team partner, and so I always tell people, that raise your hands if you're there the first time. And there's always a lot of people that are there the first time, and I feel that once you're there, and as you said, to be there and personally, absorb the experience, it draws you to want to come back. And a lot of it's spread by word of mouth. And there was, some concern throughout the year that maybe there might be fans that thought, well, 50 is going to be really special, so maybe we'll bypass 1 year for the big milestone anniversary. But we had an excellent turnout this year, and a lot of familiar faces, and a lot of people. Again, I hadn't seen Alexis Smirnoff, and I can't remember how long he came for the first time. And there were a few others that were there for the first time too. So it's always great to see some first-time people, and then familiar faces like the Destroyer Dick Beyer, and at my table up front, Tom Drake, who on the board, was there, and my son also, in spite of his handicap, was into amateur wrestling, and he and Tom Drake were sitting there and talking about Danny Hodge and talking about the Olympics many, many years ago. So for once, I was there, not saying much, just listening and absorbing the conversation.
Isn't that cool how you can just sit there and just be a fly on the wall, so to speak, and just obviously get a chance to hear all these great stories? Because I remember a couple years ago when the Honky Tonk Man and Jake the Snake Roberts and Bob Orton were all in the circle talking. I just stood there real cautiously and looked away, but my ears were right on what they were saying. And it's just it's tremendous, because when you're at the CAC, you're there as a member of a family. That's how I like to say it. And, everybody's very friendly. And if you show the respect and the proper courteousness when you go up to someone like yourself, or, Jerry Briscoe, who was there, or Jim Ross, or anybody else for that matter, you just show a little respect and just be nice and considerate, and everything works out pretty good. That's just how it is. It's not a fan fest. It's not, hey, here's $100, go in and get what you want and get shown out the door. This is a 2 or 3, 4 day event where you really get involved. Cribbage tournaments, bowling tournaments, a lot of neat things going on where you can bid on a fantastic belt made by Reggie Parks every year, and I keep losing. I don't win that any year, but
Dave Milliken is the one that the last couple of years I call him a master craftsman, and I kind of mentioned too that I thank him and Rico Man every year, and of course Reggie Parks, because he's the one that kind of started it all. That was the root of everything.
Right.
And all three of them were there this year, which I thought was really, really very nice. But all the years that I was on the road and had access night after night to most of the major championship belts, I mean, they were just right there in the dressing room, or either, I personally handled them. And not to say that, well, you took it for granted, but they're there, and so you don't really think of the impact of it until the years go by. And when I saw last year, I was at a guest at a collector's house, and Dave Milliken was there, and the collector had a number of prestigious belts and original belts. And then I went to the Fan Fest in Charlotte, and Dave Milliken was there with about 80 belts that were on display. And I, for the first time, paused and I read the book that he co-wrote about the 10 pounds of gold, which to me, the NWA Championship belt with that unique look with the flags on the side, the globe in the front, was probably, and that's not to take anything away from the historical belt that Dory Funk wore for 4 years that he defended it and Thez before him. But that particular belt that was from the era of Harley Race, Jack Briscoe, and Dusty, and
Terry Funk,
and Terry Funk, and eventually Ric Flair as well. Before Jim Crockett had one special made for Flair, but I ended up purchasing a replica belt that is of an incredible quality, and I look at that belt, and that reminds me, it's kind of like going to Cauliflower Alley. It's kind of like going to Fan Fest. It just it's kind of something that you look at, and it triggers many, many fond memories.
Oh, without a doubt. And you talk about some of those people that you mentioned who held that championship. I mean, you were around them for many years. I mean, it's incredible. Ric Flair, you managed for a number of years. And I always referred to that belt as the Harley Race belt, because when I saw Harley Race as an 8-time champion, having that championship belt around his waist, it just seemed to fit Harley so well, and I always referred to it as that. And like you talked about, Ric Flair held it for a while, and then eventually Crockett went to the big gold belt, as you said. And nowadays too, JJ, a lot of people say, well, belts are just kind of like a little bit of a token. It's an icon. It doesn't really mean a lot. But you know what? I disagree with that, because I remember in wrestling when I was a kid, watching it and watching the wrestlers come out to the ring, whether it was on, the local house shows or in live events, that belt just added so much credibility as that person as a champion. And it just signified greatness, because the belts in wrestling to me meant so much. I mean, maybe I'm being a little weird here, but when I saw, the Harley Race belt, as I called it there, the U.S. belt that Lex Luger wore, that Magnum TA wore for many years, the one even prior to that, which is more of a silver belt before it became that, nicer red, white, and blue type of thing. When I see those, like you said a moment ago, it just really brings back a lot of great memories, because you automatically picture those people, whether it's around their waist or over their shoulder, holding up in the air. It's a special thing. It really is.
Well, I agree with you 100%, and I can speak for someone who spent the greater part of my adult life actually in the business, and those championship belts were symbolic of greatness, of the best of the best. And as I said, like Dory Funk was the NWA champion for a 4-year span from 1969 to 73.
Right.
So there's a 4-year period of time. Now, Harley was 8-time champion. Flair was 16-time champion.
Woo!
Dory Funk was 1-time champion, but he held that title for 4 years.
I know.
On the road defending it, all the classic matches that he had with Jack Briscoe before Briscoe finally became champion.
Huge.
But it had prestige, not only with the fans, but in particular with the wrestling community ourselves. We looked up to the champion. They were the creme de la creme, and it was an honor if you just had the opportunity to be a challenger. It was considered an honor. So we definitely looked up to it. They meant something, and that's part of our history that I think I'm very proud of that part of our history, and kind of sad to see the emphasis on the belts kind of wane as the years went by, because when you think about all the major professional sports, I mean, you see the Stanley Cup in hockey, and when that's won, they carry that around and they hold it in the air and they kiss it, and it goes from location to location.
Right.
It's symbolic of greatness in hockey, just like the Lombardi Trophy in football, or the Major League Championship thing, as the World Series winner is determined. The major belts in professional wrestling were no different. And Nick Bockwinkel, who was the AWA champion, that was very prestigious. And when I broke into the business, to me, champion was Bruno Sammartino.
Yeah.
It was kind of a spin-off of the NWA, as I would find out later on. But Bruno was a very, very proud champion and a great champion.
Mm-hmm. Oh, without a doubt. I mean, you talk about someone in an 8-year span, Bruno Sammartino, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was 8 years he held the championship in a row. You talked about someone like Terry Funk, 4 years in a row, and the length of time that these champions held, because when a belt keeps moving back and forth like it kind of does here lately, it doesn't really seem to add a lot of significance to that person. And like I said, you may read a wrestling magazine, or you watch on TV, or you watch a promo, because the promos back in the day, like when you and Flair and Tully and Ole and Arn or Lex or whoever else, Barry Windham, came out, those promos meant something, and whoever was champion had their belt. They'd either come out, lay it down on the table, put it over their shoulder, they'd talk, they'd sit there and say, this means something. And it wasn't just a speech. I mean, these guys who held the belts, like the TV title, that with the red carpet on the back, on the inside, that felt-looking material, and they had the CBS and the NBC logo and ABC. I mean, when Arn or Tully had that belt for so many years, and even Dusty Rhodes for that matter, I mean, it just meant a lot. And I can really understand what you meant when you went there and saw 80-something belts and just brought back so many memories, and it's incredible.
And the other thing, too, Brian, is the champions carried the belts with them. And, they took them to the ring every night, brought them home, and so that's why you saw some of the wear and tear on them, because it wasn't a showpiece that somebody that had the ring, had the belt in some kind of a carrying case and then gave it to the champion that night. No, the champion was the champion. He had the belt as long as he was the champion until he was defeated, and carried it with him.
Right.
And I think that was a big difference too. And talking about Dory Funk, when they talk about the great champions, and it's hard to single out. Luthez was before my era. I met Luthez a couple times. First time he was a special referee when I was still active as a wrestler. So, but I've heard, the stories about the great Luthez, and trust me, he was a great champion too. And of course, I was around Harley, I was around Terry Funk, I was around Dusty, and of course around Flair a lot. But when you talk about the great champions, a lot of times people lose sight of the fact that Dory Funk held the title one time, but he held it for 4 years. And what was so unique about Dory, and he's still training young wrestlers at his academy down in Florida, which is great that he's giving back to the business. But Dory was the kind of guy, when he walked into a room or into a building, the fans would look at him and say, boy, I think if I had any kind of ability at all, I think I could beat him. And I think that was part of the mystique of Dory Funk, that appearance-wise he didn't overwhelm you, but when the bell rang, he was a great champion for those 4 years. And when you look back and talk about great champions, his name certainly has to be in the mix. And in fact, another week he's breaking away from his training camp to make an appearance up in Warwick, Rhode Island, and I'm up there appearing too, and I arranged to be there because I hadn't seen Dory in a couple of years, and in fact Harley's going to be there too. And, anytime that I could see Harley race and Dory Funk both in the same night somewhere, that's a big night for me too. That's the fan of me coming out.
I was going to say, that's where J.J. Dillon becomes James Morrison, the fan, and then all of a sudden you're starting to take pictures and everything else like that. And I could totally agree with you on that. And I wish that Harley was there this year at the Colorado Valley Club. I know the last couple of years he hasn't been there for one reason or another. There's been some certain health issues that he's had as well, and obviously scheduling. And, Dory, I've been now 4 times to the CAC, and I haven't seen Dory up there. I would love to see him at the 50th. Do you think there's any chance that we could see those two gentlemen, at least one of them, show up next year?
Boy, that would be great.
Wouldn't it?
They're already starting to work, I'm sure, on next year, and I'm kind of like everybody else. I wait till the announcements are made one by one. I'm not privy to any prior information, and I look forward to going to the banquet, and they continue to ask me to come back to MC because there's nobody else that wants to work for $0. Terry Funk and I joke about it that there's nobody can underbid us because there's nothing less than zero. But we do it out of love for the business and being there and contributing something and having some fun. And our job is to just keep the evening moving and for the people that are being honored to have the presenters have a chance to say things about their career. And then, you never know. And this year, certainly Terry Taylor and Michael Hayes of the Freebirds were the highlights. And Jim Ross introduced one, Jerry Briscoe introduced the other, and it's a wonderful, wonderful evening for us to be a part of, but also to sit back and like you say, the fan comes out where we listen to what they have to say, and every year is different. There's no, you hear about award banquets, but the CAC is different and unique, and I have to say the same thing about the Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame, where I've been going back every year up to Amsterdam, and fortunate enough to be inducted in 2013. So I've got 2 Hall of Fame rings, which I'm extremely proud of. But same thing again, you never know who you're going to see, and until the recipients are announced, the inductees for that year, and it's a big event for me to be able to go, and these are people who are my peers, to hear what they have to say too. And it's a different experience than the Cauliflower Alley, which is what makes each of them unique.
Without a doubt. And we're talking to J.J. Dillon right here on Off the Top Rope Radio here at Brian Shank on KQCK radio station, heard exclusively on KQCK.com worldwide. And, the thing is, too, J.J., is that we talk about wrestling, and nowadays, I have to admit it doesn't flow like it used to. I think that the believability of watching a match happen in front of you from the Crockett era and Mid-South and Florida and Georgia and everything else, there was that certain magic, and I don't know if it was just like I said, the believability, the what's the word I'm looking for? The wholesomeness, I guess you could say, when it was actually, the sport of professional wrestling. I think nowadays it relies too much on entertainment. It doesn't seem, and I'm not knocking anybody who's a current wrestler right now, because I'll tell you, there's a lot of talent out there. There's tremendous amounts of talent in the WWE and TNA and everywhere else. But what is the difference so much? How has it evolved to where it is today?
Well, that's hard. It's hard to explain how it has evolved, but it definitely has evolved.
Yeah.
I don't see the diversity of characters that I saw throughout my career, and the personal issues with various individuals, and again, the titles that everybody was after were more meaningful, and therefore where people interacted and had differences of opinion, and sometimes those things escalated into a physical thing. There was a lot of emotion involved. That degree of emotion doesn't seem to be the same with today's product. But the guys today are, as in every sport, are great athletes. They're doing things that we would never have dreamed of trying to do. But again, I'm just thrilled to death. And Terry Funk and I have had this conversation recently where both of us are excited that we were in the profession at a time that we look back and say, those were the glory years.
Oh, without a doubt. And I mean, some of the people that were in attendance this year, like Jerry Briscoe, yourself, Jim Ross, Dick Beyer, the Destroyer. I mean, some of the people walking around, you talked about Alexis, who was there and everything. It's just, I love, and I told you when I saw you at the Cauliflower Alley Club, you were walking through the casino, and we, stopped and talked for a few minutes, and I said, I've got this system in my garage. It's like my garage man cave. I've got a CD player in there. I've got a VHS player. I've got a ton of old VHS tapes. I've got a record player in there. And I love spending time outside when it cools off, and I just like playing the old stuff. And that's kind of special to me because, popping in an old VHS tape and just taking yourself back, like we talked about with the belts, for instance, and you reminiscing and having all those special memories. It's so much better for me to relive those memories of the excitement. And not only that, but the crowd back then. I mean, we talked about Mid-South not too long ago when they were in the same area when WrestleMania 30 was taking place in New Orleans, because some of the places out in New Orleans area and stuff like that was a huge drawing ground that is for Mid-South wrestling. And the fans for that era and those promotions were just off the charts excited and generally just so in tune with everything. When J.J. Dillon got punched by Dusty Rhodes and your glasses went flying and you hit that rope and you bounced and everything, I mean, they acted like God himself came down to earth. It was just such a magical appeal to the fans in attendance and on TV, because still to this day, JJ, I'll watch that and I still like either chuckle at something Flair said or a bump that Tully took or something that Dusty did or whatever. It always just makes me smile knowing that I grew up a fan of wrestling in the era that you were involved in, and I really enjoy that.
You know, I go on Facebook and I kind of look and read the comments, and somebody had quoted Ric Flair from an interview, and Flair was all wound up in an interview, as he most often is, and he pointed at somebody in the studio and said, "Shut up, fat boy, before I come over there and steal your wife and take her home, make a woman out of her." I mean, it was a line that it was a classic Flair line.
Woo!
And what is so unique about that era is, as you talk about, you can escape into your wrestling man cave with all the old tapes.
Yeah.
And if they didn't have a date on them or a time on them, you could watch them, and what you're seeing, the quality of everything is timeless.
Yes, it
and
is.
that's why fans today, 25 years after the glory years of the Horsemen, are still talking about them.
Right.
And that's a great feeling to know that you were part of wrestling history,
right,
and that there are people who weren't even born yet when that was happening, that because of YouTube, because of DVD collections and because of different outlets, that people can relive these moments and look at these tapes, and generations later are all fans that all of a sudden look at it and still captivated. Still, what they see still has meaning to them.
Well
because
said.
It was good stuff. It really was good stuff.
Wow.
And to have lived in that era and been a part of it is something that I'm proud of. I talk about change about with everything in life.
Yeah.
And wrestling is no different, and change is not always for the better, but the one thing that never changes is the wonderful memories.
Well said, well spoken. I know we're running out of time here, unfortunately, but here's something I do with everybody I have on the air. And first of all, before we go, I just want to say thank you so much for making us a part of your evening. I know you work very long hours and some different things and whatever, and it's always great to hear from James J. Dillon. So first of all, thank you for that. And I always like to do this little thing, like 5 quick questions, and I always just ask something really quick, and I always like to have the first thing that comes to your mind as your answer, okay?
Hard to get a quick answer out of me, but
Well,
I'll do my best.
all right, we're going to try it out here. Okay. If I had a chance to talk to somebody, living or dead, someone that I never met before or someone I knew greatly, and spend 5 minutes with that person would be?
Wow. Just first off on my mind was Gorgeous George, because he changed wrestling forever, and I saw him wrestle one time, never got a chance to meet him or sit down and talk to him, and I'm sure he would be fascinating to listen, because that was a beginning of a prelude to my career.
And probably the only professional wrestler to ever be on I Love Lucy, by the way, so that was another great idea. So. Okay, JJ, here's a couple more for you. Not to offend anybody who was involved, but I got to say, the horseman that I got along with the best is?
Wow.
I know. I knew that would put you on the spot.
I look at the era up through the time when Tully and Arn left to go to New York as the Brainbusters with Bobby the Brain Heenan. And for me, and this is not, I'm often asked the question, well, do you think this one deserved to be a horseman? And I never engage in that conversation, because I don't want to get into that. I look at the original Horseman with Ole as being very special to me, because if that had not happened, maybe none of the other things would happen.
Sure.
And Luger came along at a time when he didn't have the experience that everybody else had, wasn't already at the top of his game like the original Horseman.
Right.
But we were able to camouflage that and had a great run. And then when Barry Windham came along, from bell to bell, there was I don't think any finer group that could go out there night after night. So I would have to look at all the Horsemen during those glory years, because there was a genuine chemistry and a feeling of good time. We were together so much away from our families and enjoyed that quality of time, and that was the highlight of my career.
You escaped that answer so well. I got to tell you right now, you just made yourself look so good by not giving me an answer and defending anybody of Four Horsemen. That's all I wanted to tell you, because I was hoping you would say like Ric Flair, without a doubt, but no, you paid homage to all the great guys.
Well, that's Ric Flair. Ric Flair is an obvious choice.
Yeah.
I've already quoted him tonight. I saw something in a quote from years ago and sat there and quietly laughed, because it was classic Ric Flair. So he's the obvious answer, of course, but it was all the Horsemen, really.
I know. I was just kind of teasing you there. I know that you had such a special bond with each of them, and that's awesome. Okay, here's the next one here. If I was going to the electric chair and I had one last meal, I would order...
I would order teppanyaki, Japanese steak. I love to go to the steakhouse and have them carve it in front of me and put a lot of garlic on the fillet, and
nice.
the rice with soy sauce, and the salad with ginger. That would be my last meal.
Wow, that sounds. That's. I think I'm going to go to the Japanese steakhouse down the road from here tonight and probably get one of those myself, man. I like that. Plus, you piss off the execution with the garlic breath. I like that. That's nice. So awesome. All right, if I had one person I could have had a chance to manage that I didn't in my career, it would have been.
Oh wow! The guy that first drew me to professional wrestling when I was young and starting out, I had a fan club for him. And at the time, I was a fan and didn't really understand why he was so great, but Johnny Valentine. And tragically, the airplane crash ended his career, but there was something very special about him as a talent. And just quickly off the top of my head, if I had to pick someone, that's the first name that jumps in my mind.
It's funny you said that, because we had Terry Funk on the show last Thursday, and he talked so highly of Johnny Valentine in terms of the great heel that he was and the believability and just his wrestling mind altogether, his ability inside the ring, his ability on the microphone, his ability to make you just really hate the guy. I mean, that's a great choice. Johnny Valentine is tremendous.
He was from the mold of guys like Terry Funk and Wahoo McDaniel, and supposedly Johnny Valentine made the statement, where people would question the authenticity or the validity of wrestling, and it's a conversation that you can never win when you get into that discussion. But Johnny Valentine used to say, maybe I can't make you believe in wrestling, but I could sure make you believe in Johnny Valentine.
I like that. Okay, one last question before we have to go here. If I was not successful in professional wrestling and guiding the Four Horsemen to all the great moments that they had, and I had to choose one other career, that career would be?
Wow. I was obsessed from the first time I ever went to a match, and I had tunnel vision that there was nothing else for me. And if you've read my autobiography, you'll know that I was on a mission, and I was not to be discouraged, and had no idea that it would work out as well as it did. I remember when I was in high school, they always put in the yearbook, and they said that I might end up being a lawyer. And I guess you could make that connection because of the fact that I talk a lot.
Yeah, I like the lawyer. I could see you as, plus you're always a very nice dresser. You always have the rings on. You're looking good. I could see a lawyer. I was thinking maybe a politician or something like that, because, again, the talking factor. And plus, let's not forget, pro wrestling is full of politics, and you knew how to do it very well. And, JJ, I got to say one thing. It was great talking here for the last half an hour. I can't believe how quick that time went. But, you're a very interesting individual. You're a true gentleman, and I always appreciate seeing you every year, because when we see each other, I always stop just for a few minutes, just say hi to you, shake your hand, and then we kind of go our way. We see each other again later. I throw a microphone in front of you. You do your annual interview with us here on the show, and I'm going to have those actually in my hand tomorrow, all edited with graphics and sound and whatnot, and I want to make sure I get you a copy of that on DVD. So I'll get in touch with you via text somehow and get an address from you somehow, and I'll get one out to you. But it's always a pleasure seeing you at the CAC. It's an honor to talk to you here on Off the Top Rope Radio, knowing that you were part of the Four Horsemen and somebody who just really added a lot of credibility as the focal point, the person to really lead and guide their careers in many ways, legitimately, all those years with those people. And I can guarantee you, it probably wasn't always great times, but I'm sure you wouldn't have traded them for nothing in the world.
No, they were, and I started as a fan, and I'm a fan to this day, and
Nice.
I still attribute, whatever perceived success that I enjoyed, not because I was the greatest talent in the world, but the fans that supported me, supported the Horsemen, supported professional wrestling.
Right on.
They were the core of the success of all of us. And when you talk to a Terry Funk or anyone else, and when you hear the Cauliflower Alley, somebody up there when they talk is going to say, as they look out, we have you, the fans, that are there to thank for everything that we have, and I genuinely feel that way.
Without a doubt. And I know as we go here, 2 weeks from today, I believe June 26th, that's a pretty special day for you, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, no, well, it would normally be. I have a birth certificate that has that date on it, but as I've gotten older, I only recognize it and celebrate it every other year. That keeps me younger.
Hey, that makes you 15 years old.
I can't do the math. That's too complicated.
I'll tell you what, you've aged extremely well. I mean that. And every time I see you every year, I say, look, it must be the water out there on the East Coast. I mean, you look great. No, but seriously, you do. You age very well. You take good care of yourself. I can see that. And, it's just been an honor to have you here, my friend. And I hope that, somewhere down the road here before the end of the year, we can start talking about the CAC again, because it'll be here in April this year of 2015, a little over 10 months away. It's going to go by very quickly. And I can't wait to have you on the show again, and maybe by that time we'll have an idea of who's going to get the Iron Mike Award, who's going to get the Lou Thez Award, the Future Wrestling Champion Award, the Active Men's Award. All those awards will hopefully be in attendance on the show here when we can talk the next time. So JJ, listen, man.
I look forward to it, Brian. It's always good to talk to you, and
Thank you.
Appreciate being on. And it was a great year this year.
Sure
and
was.
50 will be one for the ages.
You got it. That's why the CAC, it gets better every year, just like a fine wine, my friend.
I agree with that.
All right. JJ, you have a great night. Enjoy yourself, and go get some of that Japanese steak you were talking about. I can tell you really want one.
Yeah. You got me. My mouth's watering.
There you go, buddy. All right. James J. Dillon again, thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon, and you have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, there you go. J.J. Dillon, who had a great time with us here on Off the Top Rope Radio. I just want to let everybody know a little programming note. I got a text during the J.J. Dillon interview, and unfortunately, Jimmy Garvin will not be able to join us tonight. He is a pilot. That is his occupation now. He flies all over the world, from what I understand, and is very active. And he told me earlier there may be a small possibility that he might not be able to get where he has to be to do that, and I totally understand. So we'll make it up. Hopefully, maybe even next week we'll have Jimmy Garvin on here. But like I said, he sent me the text saying that he's not going to be able to make it. He won't be available for about another hour, and unfortunately, we won't be on the air in an hour. But no problem there. I totally understand. J.J. Dillon was a great guest. We'll hopefully have gorgeous Jimmy Garvin on next week, because I'm going to pick his brain a little bit with some things that Michael Hayes had told me, and I can't wait for that. So before we go, I just want to let you know, in case you're just tuning in, we've got a fantastic event coming up here to the Phoenix and Tucson area if you're local, and this is going to be one of the ages. You're going to love this one here. Click Jab Wrestling Fan Fest, Saturday, July 19th, and Sunday, July 20th in Phoenix and Tucson. Phoenix, of course, is going to be on Saturday, Tucson on Sunday. Go to clickjabwrestling.com. You'll find out all the information, all the ticket information, how to get this, how to pay for it, where it's going to be. Bill Goldberg, Ric Flair, Adam Copeland, Bret Hart, Kevin Nash, Sean Waltman, Scott Hall, Robbie E., Amy Dumas, Candice Michelle, Marie Kanellis, Brooke Adams, Taryn Terrell, Lisa Marie Varon. It's going to be tremendous. This is going to be one of the best fan fests that I could ever think of. And if you want to be part of it, if you're anywhere near the area, go check it out. clickjabwrestling.com, or go on Facebook and just click it's click.jab. So you go facebook.com/click.jab, or just search for it. Click Jab Wrestling. You'll find it. My buddy Chris Click will be on in 2 weeks on the 26th. That's J.J. Dillon's birthday, so we'll celebrate it in style. He's going to be in studio, have some guests coming up here. We're going to keep him surprised in who we're going to have on the show. But regardless, go check it out. Be a part of it. Get your tickets. Get on down. Enjoy the summer heat in fine fashion with Click Jab Wrestling Entertainment. This is going to be tremendous. So we got to get out of here, but everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to us this week. We're on every Thursday right here on KQCK.com. Please spread the word. You can listen to us worldwide by just checking us out. And if you go over to the website, to KQCK.com, you can check out all the archive shows that we have. And just all you do is click on the button, see our past guests, and then you can just enjoy yourselves doing that. So listen, thank you again, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you to J.J. Dillon. Thank you to Doug McDonald from WrestlingRumors.net. It's always a pleasure and honor to have all the great wrestling fans listening to us here on KQCK.com. Off the Top Rope Radio returns next week on June 19th. Everybody have a great night. Enjoy yourselves. And hey, you know what? Go Spurs. Yeah.
Thank you once again, wrestling fans, for listening to today's show. We would love to hear from you away from the airwaves, so we invite you to like our Facebook page at Off the Top Rope Radio. And any emails you want to send, please send them directly to me at Brian, BRIAN, at KQCKradio.com. We'll talk to you next week right here on KQCK Radio, USA, Costa Rica.